Pumpkin House is the place of the greatest mysteries. I've only been there once before, and I don't remember most of what occurred there. But from what I'm able to recollect, recover, remember, and recall, with the help of my friends, therapists, and deep meditation, once the Pumpkin House belonged to the De Ville family, an influential family for many centuries. But the patriarch of the family, known simply as Count De Ville or just the Count, found out that his family was dying. No force in heaven or earth could change it, and he tried. He sought powerful curios. He sold every painting, every scrap of gold, and every title he could to find anything that would extend the life of his wife, children, or himself. But no matter what he tried, nothing could help. So, on one dark night, he sat across from his newest acquisition, the myself mirror. In desperation, he asked the mirror to show him just one future where he could stay with his family for the rest of eternity. And the mirror showed that to him, and it showed him how he could achieve his goal. The myself mirror showed him the face of every person he had to kill, every family he had to ruin, every drop of blood to spill, every evil deed he had to do to achieve his goal. The only way to achieve his goal. But all the Count De Ville saw was a distant premonition of him and his family posing together in a painting, centuries in the future. So the Count de Ville did as the mirror asked him. If there was no power in heaven or earth that would keep his family alive, he would go somewhere else for that power. That night the Count carried 5 vials into the pumpkin house, each of them filled with blood taken from a very special beast that lived in a place far from humanity. He had to hurry. He only had until midnight to give this blood to everyone in his family. The first to drink the blood was his wife. She had long since grown weak and bedridden. She had begged her husband for one glass of wine for weeks, and this night was the night he conceded. He helped her drink the red wine mixed with the beast's blood. His wife, after drinking the wine, slipped into sleep, expecting this to be her last sleep and to never awaken again. She was half right. It was her last sleep, but she would awaken again and never need to rest any more. The Countess loved music and used to play to massive audiences who would listen to every note and applaud every sound she made. But she had not made a single sound since she grew evil. But even after drinking the beast's blood, her skin remained rotten and her legs forever amputated because of the illness. But her husband, in his endless love, decided to make sure that she would play music for audiences that would applaud her every time. So he summoned his most loyal servant, the sexton of the Count De Ville cemetery, and sewed her onto his back. And now every night she performs for them, not even able to touch bow to string, but still they applaud her, bringing her happiness in her rot-filled mind. Next the Count creeped into the room of his eldest child and heir apparent. His heir was strong enough to stare into the dark night and sat by the window doing so. Their golden eyes reflected nothing of the darkness inside nor outside. The Count slipped the blood into the golden-eyed child's meal, and the child ate it with gusto, finally excited to taste something for the first time in months. Now, the heir to the De Ville family would always remain an heir, and would never be given the chance to replace their father as the head of the family. Instead, he would wander many dark places, making and breaking deals with many people. He would bring the family far more wealth and power than his ancestors ever did, but he would also draw more blood than anyone else, except his father. He would make deals to a rancher, bringing him far more pain than pleasure, and still smiling, knowing that they would always return to him, though few would know who he was. The golden-eyed child would make his family proud. The next child, the Count's middle child, was a strong girl who dreamt of being a powerful and proud knight, one who would win titles, land, glory, and pride for her entire family. She was amazed by the stories of great heroes protecting others to gain their power, instead of being born into it. Even in her illness and on her deathbed, she was convinced that her chance for glory would come. The Count soaked a rag in the blood of the beast and dabbed the rag into the sores along his daughter's neck, letting the blood soak into her heart. Though she would lose her head, she would not lose her life nor her heart. She would break free from her father's fortune and seek her own glory elsewhere. In time, she would come to protect those who sought to be free from her own father's fangs and fury. Though her father knew it was her that helped so many escape his blade, he would dare not to raise a hand against his own daughter. So she would remain free and help others remain free. The headless horseman would make her family fearful. The Count's youngest child was the strangest. She wasn't sick, and she had plenty of life within her. None of the doctors knew why she was healthy. She played in the garden, disappearing for days at a time, telling her family about the world she found in her pocket and how much rabbits loved lavender tea. Her father used to administer medicine from the apothecary just to get her to sleep, otherwise she wouldn't lay still. On this dark night he slipped the vial of blood within her medicine and gave it to his youngest daughter on a spoon. The Count's youngest daughter waited for her father to leave before spitting out both the medicine and the blood. Not a drop of it remained in her body. The young countess remained incorrupt and incorruptible as she followed her rabbit friend down a rabbit hole kept beneath her bed. This youngest child would be found in many places, making many wonderful friends, no matter what man, monster, mercenary, nor machine her father sent after her. The youngest child would remain happy in her own little world. The youngest daughter would make her family free. In the last few seconds before midnight, as the Count felt his heart still for the last time, he drank his drops of blood in those final moments, hopeful that he consumed the blood in enough time for the effects to take place. His heart never beat again, but the Count did not die. His vial affected him much darker than anyone else's. The Count would no longer step into sunlight nor moonlight. He could no longer see himself in any reflective surface, including the myself mirror. He could no longer consume any food that grew from the earth, plant, mushroom, or water. He could only consume the flesh, blood, and soul of the living. He could no longer touch silver without it burning him, nor could he touch any holy symbol from any faith, leaving many artifacts of the pumpkin house left out for others to steal. But the Count did find advantages for his new monstrous being too. His strength was endless, his form boundless. He could command any who looked within his eyes, beast or man, living or dead. Gold and toxic metals brought the only warmth to his touch. Poison, metal, fire, illness, and arms could no longer harm his flesh. Drain him of his blood and you will only make him hungrier. The only thing that time brought him was deeper wisdom. It is within the pumpkin house that the Count De Ville lives alone with occasional visits from his family. He still possesses great wealth, power, and influence. The curios within his house can do many horrible things, but what those things do, no one knows, not even me. I do know, if you are lucky, you may find a few items of small silver left behind by his younger daughter. She also crafted hiding places within the house. They are marked with a small symbol of a rabbit. If you see it and you know the Count is near, hide in those places. He cannot sense you there. If you hide anywhere else, he will find you without trouble. How will you know he is near? First, you will feel like you are being watched. The Count's power is great and he can sense you through the house itself. He will not be able to see you through the eyes of the house, but he will feel you. Then you will see your breath. Count De Ville's body is colder than ice. It will bring the warmth of the room down just by him being nearby. This is your second warning. Find a place to hide and hide quickly. He is looking for you and he knows where you are. Your final warning is the dimming of the lights. The lights don't hurt him, but he can see without it just fine, and he is making it harder for you to escape. His power is great and he could tear you apart in seconds. But like a cat chasing a mouse, he enjoys playing with his food. He will make it hard for you to escape, but not impossible. He may even let you escape a few times, maybe think you're safe, but do know he is following you, and he will find you. When you hear his cold breath in your ear, you're too late. He is done playing with you and he wants to feed. His hunger is vast and he so rarely has any guests over for supper. He will drain your blood first. It will weaken you and leave you unable to think, let alone escape. He will then leave just enough blood to leave your desperate heart to keep you alive. Your exsanguinated brain is barely conscious of the situation. This is when he feeds on your flesh. He will take his time to chew on your flesh and bone. He will leave you enough blood to stay awake, but he will not give you enough pain to pass out. He will cause suffering because that's all he wants anymore. When you barely have enough flesh to survive, he will then feed on the only thing you have left, your soul. His fangs and claws are practiced. They will carve chunks of your soul like tearing into a winter ham, slicing every piece of your identity apart, leaving you with less and less of yourself, leaving just enough of yourself to remember and feel the pain. All you will know and have ever known at this point is pain, and only here will the Count De Ville kill you, sending what is left of your tortured soul fragment to judgment. It takes weeks for a victim to die. No one knows what it takes to become unpalatable to Count De Ville. Some say that since he seeks suffering, that consuming joy may make you unpalatable to him. So the best piece of advice is to stay hidden from him. He gets bored easily and he has other victims hidden around the house for him to feed on. So if you become too hard to find, he will move on to easier prey. Why do you seek out the pumpkin house and face this fearsome fiend? For the myself mirror, of course. He keeps the myself mirror in his basement. The myself mirror is what taught him how to become such a fearsome monster. The myself mirror has the power to show you who you can become in the future, and what you need to do to achieve it. No one's future is set in stone. It can be used to find your happiest future, or it can be used to make yourself the fiercest of fiends. I, myself, faced the pumpkin house and saw, well, myself in the myself mirror. I faced everything have told you about to see myself in the mirror. What I expected to see in the mirror was a tired young man with no future, no hope, and no happiness. Just going day by day with no passion and no love for living. What I saw in the mirror was a confident, beautiful young woman dressed in ripped jeans and rudely gesturing to me. Someone I always wished I was born as. But once I saw myself in the mirror, I knew who I was going to become. I could see dim echoes behind her of other futures, other me's I could be, but she was who I wanted to be. So, when I left the pumpkin house, that was the path I chose on my crossroads. My path. And even though I am not done becoming her, I am happier now than I have ever been in my life. Every pain, every fear, every anxiety I faced to find myself was all worth it. After knowing everything that stands between you and the myself mirror, would you go through all of these challenges willingly? Would you face everything for just a moment in that reflection? Would you face your every fear and doubt for that truth? Or do you prefer the safety of ignorance? Make your choice freely and without fear. As for me, I choose the truth every time.